Thank you, sir, for enriching our knowledge regarding indirect taxation.
Now, we are delighted to call CA Venkatesvaran sir to share his perspective on key factors of budget and impact on company law.
So, how was the good evening tour? I think real good evening, 6 o'clock past. So, how was the journey the last 1.5 hour? I think our captain had a takeoff, good takeoff in my opinion. But then when there's a takeoff, you also have a scary feeling, and I think he gave that part as well. And then the co-captain Shoban came and had a kind of a smooth flight, and then the snacks were served, and again turbulence started in the name of GST, and our captain again flew it, I would say comfortably out of the turbulence. And now I would say loosen your seatbelts. I'm not going to talk about any sections. I'm not going to give you more fear. But then again, I don't guarantee reassurance of any turbulence, a non-reoccurrence of any turbulence. So let's see. So now what I'm going to talk about is basically the key highlights about how the budget is. They both said what the government is going to take away from you, but then I'm going to give a part where I'm going to tell you what the government is trying to give to the citizens in terms of schemes and other expenditures. Okay, this is a repetition. The captain asked this question. So how many of you feel this budget was a good budget? No? Only one. So I'll just touch upon the good, bad and the ugly as far as the budget is concerned. So this budget, if you really look at, there was so much of expectations from this budget, so much of hype. It was like normally what happens before a superstar of Tamil Nadu's movies release, right? They give so much hype, but then it could turn out either way. Similarly, so there was so much hype, there was a lot of expectations. Expectations were there in terms of reduction in tax rate. Will the standard deduction get increased? Will there be increase in exemptions limit from 1,50,000? Will it go to 3 lakhs? Or will there be more exemptions? So there were many expectations, and will there be new deductions and all those things? So they again gave a lot of build-up, like first in a decade budget, first digital budget, all those things. All those build-ups happened. But then you see, you have a bit lesser expectation. That's always good for your health as well. But then what? On the other hand, there was also a fear. What was the fear again? Oh, COVID. So there could be a COVID cess, or there could be increase in tax rates, or there could be reduction or exemptions could be withdrawn. That fear was always there. So one side a lot of expectation, the other side there was a fear that this could happen. And there was also this fear, right? Our Honorable FM was known for the last two budgets. At least the professionals knew that there was not much of a thing, except it was a repetition of earlier budgets, except for some tweaking. So what came out, or what happened, we had to decide which one was better, whether the devil or the Dead Sea. So one side, what could have been better, whether the increase in tax could have been better, or doing nothing or not removing the incentives would have been better. I think that way, if you look at it, there were no new taxes, no COVID cess came in, no change in tax slab, and there were exemptions which were not removed. So this made to appear that this budget was better, and it had more good than evil. And as this budget began, when it was so much expected and so much hype, and after the budget was presented, there was always this budget was always compared with other budgets, most celebrated budgets. So if you look at the top 5 celebrated budgets, the first budget of the post-independence, 1947, was celebrated. It was presented by the then FM R.K. Shanmugam Reddy. So Reddy, Chetty, So why was that different budget? Because 46% of the expenditure was allocated to defense. So that was called a defense budget. Obviously, we needed that kind of budget at that point in time because we had just got freedom, and then we had that fear that someone could invade us again. So it was right to do that at that point in time, and that was the most celebrated budget of that time. Then we had the 1968 Morarji Desai's budget, which was called the People's Budget. That's when he also introduced the self-assessment by the manufacturers. It was more stringent before that. So it was more populist budget, and it was called the People's Budget. The next budget, everyone, at least this crowd would be knowing, or for that matter even I am aware of, is the 1991 budget, which was called the new reform budget presented by Dr. Manmohan Singh. So even today everyone talks about that budget. That laid the foundation for the new economic policy as well. Then was the 1997 budget, which was presented by the DIN-FM PC Chidambaram, which was called the Green Budget. Why was it called the Green Budget? Because there was a dramatic reduction in the rate of corporate tax, and a lot of concessions were given. And then also there were provisions to eliminate black money, and he also brought in the VDIS scheme, then the voluntary disclosure of income scheme then. Then the 2000 budget presented by Sinha, which was the millennium budget. That is when software was classified as an export, and today, thanks to that provision, India was able to potentially grow as a software hub of the world. I think we are next to the Silicon Valley at this point in time. So, will this budget, will the 2021 budget follow this? While the initial hypes, the initial press note, or the initial media gives that feeling, we'll have to wait and watch how this goes through. We'll have to see whether this will also be one of the remarkable celebrated budgets. Okay, little good thing to start with, but what's the bad and the ugly of this budget? Hold on, relax, we'll see that in the conclusion. We'll continue with few more good points about it. So what is good again? This budget is completely a growth-oriented budget. Why is this growth-oriented budget? We have a fiscal deficit of 9.5%, which means that as Kuti already said, the government is going to borrow a lot of money, but that borrowings will be utilized for capital expenditure. When it is utilized for capital expenditure, what is it going to result in? It is going to result in good growth, and the economy will have a accelerated pace. We can, if everything goes well and if everything as promised is taken care, I think we will see a good economy in the years to follow. And as the sectors of high employment and the output multiplier, which is normally your construction and healthcare, is the focus of this budget. The question is, was it a choice or was it a mandatory requirement that they had to do this? If you look at all the celebrated budgets I spoke of, and that's the reason why I brought them also, they were not a choice at any point in time. All those celebrated budgets were forced because there was a preceding bad event or a preceding chaos which mandated the government to go in for such a budget. Independence, so we had the independence struggle. If you look at 1991 budget, in 1991 budget was not a budget of choice. We had pledged the entire gold reserves with the IMF. We were completely bankrupt. Because of the WTO requirements, we had to come out with that budget. Same was the case with 1997. 2000, of course, we had to do something. We had the Pokhran tested, and the Moody's had downgraded our ratings. All was bad. So the same history followed in this year also. We had the COVID. Even before COVID, we had 3 consecutive quarters of very bad economy. So COVID gave another blessing, and then, which was a mandatory requirement, they had to come out with this. It was a do or a die situation, and that's what happened. So this budget is focused on 6 pillars. Basically, if you look at it, is the health and the well-being. Then we have the physical, financial, and infrastructure. Then we have the inclusive development. I'll be touching upon few of them. Then we have the capital, human capital, innovation and R&D. The last point, which even I don't agree with, is the more governance and less government. But normally, that's not the way it goes. So quickly, health and well-being, we have a lot of funds. Of course, today everyone would have realized that health is a better wealth. So the government is also doing that. So there are a lot of money spent on health and nutrition. And the third one is water. So they have promised to give a water connection to everyone under the Jal Dhan scheme. So 2.86 crores of water household connections are promised. Then we have the Swachh Bharat. In my opinion, I think the government is doing a fairly good job here. We can witness that, particularly when you go to remote places. You see the Swachh Bharat toilets. We have become a complete defecation-free nation after almost 70 years of independence. So, which is good, and they have allocated 1.4 lakh crores again for the continuation of the scheme. Then we have the vaccination. So the COVID vaccination is going to cost the government about 35,000 crores. Then on the clean air policy, they are going to come out with a scrapping policy where commercial vehicles more than 20 years and personal vehicles more than 15 years it has to be scrapped. So there should be
no other way around. Commercial vehicle 15 years.
Commercial is 15, personal vehicle 20.
Okay. That has to be scrapped, and that will be the scheme will be introduced for that. Okay. On the physical financial capital infrastructure, the first and foremost is the PLI scheme. So the production linked incentive scheme was introduced in the beginning of the year. It started with electronics and mobile, but now that has been extended to 13 other sectors. So what is this scheme all about? It is basically to incentivize production. This, if you really look at it, is for attracting the industries that is getting away from China. India is not the natural choice, of course, because you have Vietnam and other countries. So to give incentives, so this is what is it going to be? It will in fact enable better import. It will incentivize high employment generation, high production generation. So government has allocated 1.97 lakh crores on this. So the scheme differs from sector to sector. Now it is covering 13 sectors. Textile. If you really look at it, see, a long back, at least 2 decades back, India was on the top export of textiles. But not recently. Countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh has overtook India in terms of textile export. I think now they have rightly recognized this, and they are going to set up 7 Mitras, mega investment textile parks. Still, the places have not been notified. Maybe even like a place like Tirupur could also benefit. We do not know. But yeah, very welcome step in my opinion. This will give a real boost to the textile industries. Infrastructure, I think, see, we started seeing infrastructure outlay in big way in the Vajpayee government, and this government also continues to do that. And infrastructure is going to be the backbone to drive the other economic growth factors. So, a good 7,400 projects, of which 217 projects with worth 1.1 lakh crore has been completed. And they are also coming up with, by the way, do you know which road this is? Any idea? Which country these 2 roads are?
I think one is Delhi.
Okay. Any It's Yamuna Express Highway. I think one of the best highways in India. Just took the pictures from that. So we are not bad in the roadways. In fact, I think we are better rating as far as road quality is concerned compared to many other countries.
But why this road is round?
That's you take exit and entry. You have to go fast. What's that? Maybe. So they have come up with a scheme to open up or establish development financial institution on similar lines with your erstwhile ICICI or IDBI. So now development financial institution is going to be set up, and 20,000 crores is going to be set up for that. So lot of emphasis on infrastructure. And I'm not listing all those things. I'm just putting whatever is relevant for us, particularly people in Hosur. So we are going to have 3,500 kilometer national highway from Madurai to Kollam and Chittoor to Thatchur, and then Kanyakumari to Mumbai. These two roads, I'm pretty sure once it is completed, it will be a very nice scenic drive for people who love to drive, and it will take away it will save a lot of time as well. And of course, whenever a road infrastructure comes, the entire area on besides the roads gets developed as well. Then good fund earmarked for metros, a lot of metros. Of course, for us relevant is the Chennai and the Bangalore metro. Apart from this, Kochi metro, Pune metro, Nagpur metro all gets a lot of funding. Then from a regulatory perspective, from a financial capital, today if you look at, there are a bunch of law that is governing them. Now this is all going to be consolidated into one code. So your SEBI Act, your Depository Act, your Securities Contract Regulation Act, all those things are going to be merged into one code. I don't think there will be any protest here because nobody will understand this law. Financial, again, the FDI limit in insurance sector is increased from 49% to 74%. So more foreign players will come into the insurance sectors, and we will see that the inflow of money will also increase, because the moment you are going to increase it to 74%, there are going to be not many players who are going to come in. They will of course bring a lot of capital, because insurance company, to set up insurance company, you need a lot of capital. So this will generate a lot of capital inflow into the country. The other aspects of the financial capital is, one is the stressed asset resolution. Basically what it means is, whatever NPS currently the banks are facing, because of NPS, banks are today really scared to even give finance. Now they will set up a separate SPV, special purpose vehicle, where the NPS can be transferred and the banks can continue to do their function of lending. Good, but then again, this should not enable more Vijay Mallya's or Modi's to run away from the country. Only time will answer that. The other welcome thing is the deposit insurance. So how many of you think your money deposited in banks are safe? Completely safe? No one thinks that way?
I think only if it is a nationalized bank it is safe.
Only nationalized bank it is safe?
Probably.
Okay. At least in my experience, in my lifetime, whenever I have seen some bank failures, I have seen bank failures like Global Trust Bank, your PNC, Yes Bank. I have not seen depositors losing money, but investors lose money. Anyone who have invested in Yes Bank would have lost lot of money, but depositors generally don't lose money. But that was only a facility that was extended by the government. But what is it guaranteed is your deposit is insured only to the extent of 1 lakh rupees. The last budget they increased that to 5 lakh rupees, and today continues to be 5 lakhs. So your deposit is secured to the extent of 5 lakhs. But what now they have done is, they are going to the government will be setting up a scheme along with FDIC, the Deposit Insurance Corporation, to ensure that whenever the bank goes into trouble, say when Yes Bank went into trouble, you would have seen that the moratorium was set for 10 days, 15 days. The depositors were not able to withdraw money. So now they are going to come out to the case, okay, if the bank was flawed, but still we will enable that the depositors' money, they are able to utilize their money. So that is all about this deposit insurance. So no more scary thing, but then again, this should not be utilized again by the banks for their advantage. Disinvestment. We have a bunch of companies that will be disinvested. Whatever is listed today, it could be your BPCL, Bharat Petroleum, your Container Corporation, your Shipping Corporation. Then you have the IDBI Bank, Air India, long time due. They have been talking about it. These things they have said they will complete by 2021. So Air India, Power Trans, which is your helicopter manufacturing. So these are all going to be disinvested. So then again, 2 public sector bank and 1 general insurance company will also be disinvested. So if you really look at, this is the first budget where they have used the word privatization. Privatization, basically they have acknowledged the fact that the government should not run business anymore. Let the corporates or let the people run the business. We will do the business of governance, or we will take care of the governance. So the first time they have said it is going to be privatization of 2 public sector bank and 1 national insurance, and then IPO of LIC will also be introduced this year. This IPO, when it turns out, it will be the biggest IPO of our country, and this will also make it the largest market capital company in India, and most probably one of the bigger players in the world as well. So you can expect the IPO of LIC soon. The other parts from an inclusive development is agriculture. Minimum sale price or MSP of 1.5% of the cost of production. This is what the protest is going on all over, which I have a different opinion. I don't really appreciate that. But then the government is giving 1.5% of the cost of the production. What more can you expect as a farmer? Welcome move, in my opinion. There are going to be 5 fisheries harbor. Chennai is one of them. Kochi is one of them. That will be set up. And then a very pathetic scene that we saw during the COVID was the migrant workers, very disheartening pictures we had to witness. That to overcome that, they have introduced that one nation, one ration card scheme, wherein these migrant workers, wherever they go in the country, they will be able to utilize the ration card and then get their supplies. And then implementation of 4 labor laws, labor codes. And in my opinion, this will be the next agitation after your this farmers protection. This will be the next one, because today the labor laws is so protective, and that is actually discouraging many of the foreign players to come in and set up their units in India. And while we do not know what will be in the code, but if the code again gives more protection to the laborers, I am pretty sure it is not going to be a welcome sign from the business community. On the other hand, if it is imposed, then all the laborers are going to come and stand on the road, and that will be another good protest for us to witness in the country. Then from the human capital development point of view, 15,000 schools strengthened to get the capability of your national new economic policy, and the 100 new science schools are going to be set up. 750 Eklaya schools, which is for the tribals one. I witnessed one of them. I visited one of them. Really a good scheme for the from the government, central government, I think. And they are going to partner with UAE and Japan for the skill development program. From an innovation perspective, we are going to, obviously we keep spending, but this is one thing that we always feel pride of as a nation. Whenever a PSLV is successfully launched, whenever a satellite of another country is going to launch, we always feel that we are superior to other countries. Very soon an Amazonia satellite from Brazil will be launched along with smaller Indian satellites. So we'll see that, and then 4 astronauts from India will be trained in the generic space flight as station in Russia. So soon we will see one of our astronauts going into space as well. Then they are setting up a deep ocean mission as well, with a good outlay of money to research on the ocean aspects. Okay, minimum governance and maximum minimum government and maximum governance is where you still can keep debating. But what they have established or what they have promised is the tribunals, functioning of the tribunals. We have tribunals in almost all segments. You have the company law tribunal, you have the consumer law court tribunal, you have the telephone tribunal. Everywhere you have the tribunal where it is a pre-court kind of thing where they try to settle before you take the case to the court. So that is going to be rationalized. And National Commission for Allied Healthcare Professionals is going to be summoned. And quick resolution of contractual disputes. So now, rapid fire, I try to cover as many as relevant aspects of our thing. Now tell me whether the budget is good or bad. Good. Okay. I will a little digress. I will talk about what is the company, what is the budget got to do for companies. I'm sure many of you are owners or shareholders of companies. If you really look at what is there in the budget, first and foremost is the decriminalization of many of the provisions of the Limited Liability Act. They did this in the Companies Act last year, so they are extending this. They are going to come out with an act to decriminalize many of the offences in the Limited Liability Act. The the small company, the definition of small company has been revisited, or it has been increased. The paid up capital has been increased from 50 lakhs to 2 crores, and the turnover has increased from 2 crores to 20 crores. What does it mean? Basically, complaints gets reduced in the form of you don't have to prepare your cash flow statement. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to care about your internal financial controls. RO does not apply. And certain few more relaxations is given there. But what is interesting is this OPC, one-person company, which was introduced, which was for the first time introduced in the new Companies Act in 2013, where a single person can start a company. This was available only for people who are resident in India. Now this has been extended to non-resident Indians. So even NRIs can open an OPC, but again they like to be in India for minimum of 20 days. And anytime they can convert their OPC into a normal company. It could be a private limited company or something matter. If a company is so big, they can convert it into a public limited company as well. And e-courts, the National Company Law Tribunal, they are making it an e-court, meaning physical appearance is not required. You can do it through video conference, similar to your faceless assessment in your income tax. Very interestingly, MCA portal, only the professionals, the professionals knows the pain of this. The MCA portal, which is the portal for complaints for all the companies, they have said they will revamp it, and the new avatar version 3.0 will be launched. But then, when income tax, Shobhan spoke, GST, Kuti spoke, and most of us, I think, we are very good in complying with income tax and GST, because most of it is regular. Income tax, once in a year you file your return. If you have TDS, then quarterly you file your return, make a payment on a monthly basis. So you are all comfortable with all those things and you do it consciously. GST, now you know that you don't have a choice month on month. Till now, maybe quarterly going forward, you will have to file. So everyone is aware of it. But what happens in the case of companies is that mostly the compliance requirement is neglected. Maybe on account of ignorance or maybe on account of negligence also. But then what is the impact if you really look at the Companies Act earlier, particularly a decade back, was very easy. You file your returns and no much of fees and penalty was there for late filing. But after everything was made systematic and automatic, you do it in the MCA portal, they started putting in a lot of fees and fines. The companies in the last 2 years, if you look at, particularly post demonetization, they started introducing one form every half year. 2018 they introduced the active form INC 22A, then they brought in the form for declaration of MSME dues, then they brought in declaration of deposits. So what happened if you don't comply? The fine and the penalty fee, late fees, again like GST, it started becoming late fees on a daily basis. Up to first 30 days it is X amount. After 30 days it becomes X, 2X. Then after 60 days it becomes 3X. So the complaints from the Companies Act perspective also has become more stringent and more complicated. It does not stop with fines and penalties, fees and penalties. It also extends to debarring or disqualifying the directors. It does not stop there with disqualifying the directors of one company. Suppose I am a director in two companies and one company has defaulted, and because of the company's default, I get disqualified as a director. I get disqualified not only in this company but in the other company. So if the other company is complained in all aspects, but still because of the director disqualification, they also get into trouble. So it becomes necessary that people, particularly I would like to address our clients also, to become conscious that the Companies Act compliance is also becoming stringent and stricter, and the great website, the MCA portal, almost stops working the last 3 days of the due date. So we had a terrible time before the 31st of December. 29, 30, 31, we were sitting till 12 o'clock to try see if something gets through in the system. Nothing happened. We only got the message saying that you are locked out of the system. So a request from our side is also, please ensure that you come forward, provide the information much ahead of time before the due date, so that you enable us to also do the complaints on time and also use save money in terms of fees and penalty, and also avoid prosecutions. Okay, coming to the bad of the budget. So already been addressed by my other partners. The physical verification. He was talking about physical verification at the time of GST registration, which was not there earlier, now brought in. The other one is the confiscation of goods, detention of goods, make the penalty, pay high penalty, those kind of thing, attaching the property and bank account. So literally ensuring that the business does not run, and the steep rise in penalties. So this all makes us to think, are we going to pre-90s era, which was called the license Raj or the inspector Raj, and we are typically going towards the inspector Raj. So I think voice needs to be raised against this. Otherwise, we are going to have the fear of complete inconvenience in doing business. So the good, the bad has been discussed. The ugly part, in my opinion, this was the highlight in or the flash news that came up in almost all TV channels. No income tax filing for senior citizen above 75 years of age, having only pension and interest. I don't know how many of you have seriously thought through. First thing is, I don't know how many of people above 75 filed return. I'll have statistics for that. Only two set of people, only if you can satisfy two conditions, you can go by this. One is you have only pension income and you have interest income. So if they have a house that has been let out, no, you cannot have. If they have any other income, they have purchased a share and sold, no. Only if you have pension. So the person should have worked all his life, deposited that money, earned only interest income. Now he is getting pension. The government is gracious enough or very to extend that. And the pink part is the interest income should come from the same bank account. So I am more than 75 years. I have pension income from say SBI, State Bank of India. I should have deposited my money only in State Bank of India, no other bank, and the bank knows what is my pension income, what is my interest income, no other income. Now the bank takes the responsibility of calculating my income tax and deducting. Come on, is the bank there to function as a bank or as an income tax department doing the calculation of some taxpayer? Now they will call for information, take all those things. I don't know how painful it is going to be. So I don't know how many are really going to do. But then one quick, when I put the slide, I did a 1 minute search on what is the life expectancy of India. So the life expectancy, people who at the back, 69.42 years as per Google. Then should I believe Google? Then I went to Niti Aayog's website, which is their government website. It has a state-wise men and women life expectancy. I searched anywhere, the highest in one state, I think it was Assam, was 74.9.
That is why they chose
That is before that.
So, what does it mean? What does it mean to you? I am only reminded of Vivek, who said, உயிரோடு இருக்கும்போது தண்ணி கூட கொடுக்க மாட்டீங்க, போய் சேர்ந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் பால் ஊத்துவீங்க. If you have still not understood what it means, I don't know how people think about it. எல்லாம் உட்கார்ந்து யோசிப்பாங்க போல இருக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்கீம் எல்லாம். So நீங்களே யோசிங்க, இந்த பட்ஜெட் what has it got to do? Thank you.
I should mention the deep meaning of thanks for all the speakers who shared their view on making us more clear on the topic. I would like to thank all the audiences who accepted our humble invitation and for your valuable time. Further, I would like to thank cameraman Rizwan. In addition, we are grateful to the hotel staff for their hospitality. I would like to express my gratitude to all my friends who worked for the session. Thank you, Ananda.